I'm a dire Chiefs and Cyclones fan. Let's talk about Rocco Becht's legacy, what's happened since he transferred to Penn State, and why he really deceived Iowa State fans through the whole transfer portal process. My name's AJ Caldwell, and welcome back to Cyclone Kingdom. Rocco Becht, the former Iowa State quarterback, potentially one of the best Iowa State quarterbacks in program history, is now at Penn State. He's a Penn State Nittany Lion. He's going to be QB1 over there going into his senior year. So what is his legacy now that he's left Iowa State? Well, similarly to what we talked about with Matt Campbell, Rocco Becht's legacy at Iowa State is incredible. He put up so many records. He was a part of the winningest team, single season-wise, in Iowa State history. Going 10-2, going to the Big 12 championship game, yes, getting blistered by Arizona State, but winning 10 games in a single 12-game regular season was otherworldly and something that no other quarterback at Iowa State has ever done. Rocco Becht has put up a lot of great numbers. He had a poise about him that was unbelievable to watch. Even when we had the 4-game losing streak last year, and Rocco clearly had some mental stuff going on and a severe concussion, he fought through it, finished the year. Iowa State finished 8-4, and then obviously we know what happened after that. The whole roster got nuked. Matt Campbell left. We've already talked about his legacy. So what's Rocco Becht's legacy? Now that he's left Iowa State, now that he's at Penn State, we can think well of Rocco Becht and all the records that he put up. But what about now? What about now that Rocco Becht is in the Big Ten at Penn State? What do we think of his long-term legacy at Iowa State? He doesn't have one. And the reason he doesn't have one is he's deceived Iowa State fans. What do I mean by that? That sounds super harsh. Oh, AJ, you're picking on Rocco. No, I'm not. Rocco Becht quite literally deceived Iowa State fans during his transfer portal decision process. Keep in mind, after Matt Campbell left, the players at Iowa State that Matt Campbell recruited, that Matt Campbell loved, that Matt Campbell wanted to keep, that Matt Campbell wanted to follow to Penn State, they had a 2 to 3 week period to decide whether or not they were going to stay at Iowa State or whether or not they were going to go to Penn State. Now, the whole Taylor Mauser conversation is an interesting one because a lot of them are saying if Taylor Mauser had stayed and become the head coach, maybe they would have stayed. I think that's a bunch of gobbledygook. I don't think Taylor Mauser was ready to be a head coach anyways. I'm glad Jimmy Rogers is at the helm. But this is about Rocco. And Rocco Becht, in the midst of the transfer portal process, where we weren't sure about his decision yet, himself, Ben Bramer, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the third guy that was there, but they all went to an Iowa State women's basketball game. This is mid-December. After Iowa State has finished their season, they finished 8-4, Matt Campbell's already accepted the job. He's already at Penn State. They go to a women's basketball game. They participate in the post-game locker room speech. Rocco gives a speech on leadership and on what it means to be loyal and how much he loves Iowa State and this, that, or the other. A week later, this man transfers to Penn State. Now, that sounds fine because that's college sports nowadays. Maybe he changed his mind, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he talked to some people, whatever it is. Until the interview came out. The interview had not come out. Maybe Rocco's PR people should have thought about this. But the interview had not come out about Rocco Becht and his sit-down conversation with the same guy that interviewed Matt Campbell. Right? I forget his name, but the guy who does next up stuff with college football coaches and talks about their careers and what they will have going into next season and what their legacy is going to be in college football. If he had not sat down with that guy, I don't think any Iowa State fan would have any qualms with Rocco leaving other than the fact that, man, we wish you would have stayed. But Rocco did the interview. And in the interview, they asked him what they should ask him, which is, what was the process like and why did you leave Iowa State? In that interview, some of you may have heard this. If you haven't heard this, brace yourself. In that interview, Brock Purdy talked to Rocco Becht. Rocco Becht made that clear that Brock Purdy called him and told him that he wants him to play for Matt Campbell. Now, I got questions for Brock Purdy. But Brock Purdy's not the problem right now. Brock Purdy stayed at Iowa State. He's making a name for himself in the NFL. He's putting Iowa State on the map along with Breece Hall and David Montgomery and Jaden Higgins and Charlie Kohler. NFL Iowa State players are doing their part. And they're staying at Iowa State. They're staying loyal. They love their school. But Brock Purdy told Rocco Becht to play for Matt Campbell. I have questions about that, but it's not the point. The other thing that Rocco said that completely changed the whole narrative about who he is and what his legacy is moving forward at Iowa State is he said Matt Campbell called him, asked him if he was coming to Penn State in the midst of the transfer portal, which means in the midst of him going to the Iowa State women's basketball game. And Matt Campbell asked him, are you coming? Are you coming to Penn State? And Rocco Becht's response was, you know I'm coming, coach. I've always wanted to come. I've always wanted to come. Think about that statement. Think about what Rocco is saying. Think about what Rocco is meaning when he says that. And think about why he chose to phrase it that way. It's because he knew he was always going to Penn State. He knew that he was not staying at Iowa State as soon as Matt Campbell left. Rocco, I got some harsh words for you, buddy. If you knew that you were always going to Penn State, if you knew that Matt Campbell was still going to be your head coach, if you knew that Iowa State was not going to be the place where you finish out your college football career, then why did you go to the basketball game? Why did you go into the locker room and give the speech? Why did you convince Iowa State fans like me that when you showed up at that game in Hilton Coliseum and got the standing ovation and Ben Bramer's there with you, one of the most talented tight ends in Iowa State history, and we all think they're staying. They are staying loyal sons forever true. If you knew you were going to Penn State, why'd you do that? Now, you can get in the comments all you want as Iowa State fans or others and say, oh, AJ, get over it. Move on, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we will move on, and we have moved on. We understand college sports is about coaches leaving and players leaving. That's not the issue. Rocco Becht leaving for Penn State is not the issue. Let me make that clear. How Rocco Becht left for Penn State is a major issue. How he deceived fans, how he led fans on, how he convinced Iowa State women's basketball players that he was staying at Iowa State and staying loyal to Iowa State and being a leader at Iowa State is insane. And it's deceitful. And I, as a Christian and a follower of Jesus Christ, think that that should not have happened and that Rocco Becht was wrong for doing that. Say no. If you found out you were going to go to the game, say no. Say, I'm still thinking about stuff. I don't want to give the wrong message. Clearly, you were already thinking about going to Penn State. So why would you go to the basketball game? What kind of a message does that send? Even if your intentions were, I want to end on the right note at Iowa State, that sends the wrong message, and it looks like you deceived people and deceived all of us. So your legacy at Iowa State, you're a great quarterback, Rocco. You had some great poise and some great moments at Iowa State, but you'll never have your jersey retired. You're never going to be welcomed back to Ames for a reunion season. And you're always going to be remembered as the guy that led Iowa State fans on before breaking their hearts. I get you wanted to play for Matt Campbell. I respect that you wanted to stay with your coach. Then don't make a big scene about making it look like you're going to stay at Iowa State. Go off into the sunset, let the tweet come out that you're transferring, and let us just be sad that you're leaving and not felt like that we were lied to by one of the best quarterbacks in Iowa State history. There's a reason I'm wearing the Brock Purdy shirt today. Because loyalty is seldom seen in college sports anymore, and Taman Lipsey and Milan Momcilovic and Brock Purdy are examples of what it looks like to love your school, stay at your school, and stay committed to your school. NIL era or not. And Rocco Becht, I wish you well, but I don't wish you success at Penn State because you lied to us and you deceived us. And that's not going to sit well with Cyclone fans for a long time. It's not good to lie to people. There's no redeemable quality of lying to people. Leave me your comments down below. What do you think about what Rocco Becht's legacy is, about how Iowa State fans should respond to this, about why it's okay to talk about it because we've moved on from them going to Penn State. I will continue to bang the drum about that. We're not upset Matt Campbell left. We're not upset the players left. We're upset about the process of how they left and what they talk about now. Because what you talk about now and the words coming out of your mouth are very, very important. As always, roll clones. And how about those cheese?